Hello, this is podcast number 28. We're going to the number 30. This will be a lot of podcasts this year. So maybe we'll get around 100 podcasts in 1 year. That would be great. I think more. So let's talk about solar panels. What I said, solar panels. I had this rant about meeting day. I saw again people talking about 3D printed houses and a lot of talk. Here in Japan we have 3D printed houses. My wife is looking at it because they are very cheap. And if they are built from concrete, they are better than the houses here. They are built from wood, so maybe insulation is better. Probably it is, and so we are looking at it. And we also want to look if we can see one built, maybe one printed. Maybe I will take a camera with me, and if it is possible, I will film it, so you can see how a 3D house is printed. And maybe interesting. But let's talk about solar panels. Tesla has this strange thing with these tiles on a roof. I said this is nonsense. Just make a square roof on top of a building and put it full with solar panels. Also these heat pumps. You know, one of the problems of solar panels is heat. The warmer they get, the less they produce. So you have to cool them down. That would be perfect. If you want to cool them down, you can use that heat to heat your house. Hey, and if it is too warm in the summer, you pump that heat into the ground down, and later when it is get colder, you get it out of the ground. You can use like a thermal blanket somewhere, a layer in the ground. You can even use, if you have you make your foundation, you can put it even in, if you have a piece of ground, you do take some gravel, you put water in there, and or you make a sack with water, and you fill it up there with water, and you heat that water in those stones during the summer. And in the winter you can extract the heat from that place. I also built something I wanted to build something for my greenhouse, so I made a deep hole, put in there my thermal storage capacitor, and you can use that as you can store heat, and in the winter you can pull it out. Also, if you have a well, you will see that the well in the summer is cold and in the winter it is warm, because it is almost always the same temperature. So maybe even using wells to cool or heat your house is easier to invest to cooling or warming. You use the solar panels to get the well water, and you can even push it back in the ground again, and you just use that as for a thermal pump to heat or cool your house. So use the solar panel system also for heating, and you can have also those kind of panels to create water. You can extract water vapor out of the air these days. So maybe you can combine a panel that creates heat, because if you make the solar panel black, they become warm, you cool them down, so the performance of the solar panel becomes better. You do something with, you try to extract with this heat maybe the moisture, so you have water, you have heat, and you have electricity. And also they're helping each other. So you have then water in the house, you have a heating source, and in the summer you don't need it, you put it in the ground, so you can extract it when you need it in the winter. And even in the winter, if there is sun, it can heat up, the solar panels can heat up, just with the heat, they can heat up the house also with the heat pump. And then you don't need even the electricity that you generate to use an airco to heat up the house. And if you do that, it will be less and less power is needed, because you can use the heat of the sun during the winter. Same as if you have a sunroom. We have a sunroom at our house, and in the winter it is cold, but the sunroom becomes crazy hot. You open the doors and the whole house is warmed by the sunroom. Yeah, some kind of that you can imagine. If you have like a thin film or on your roof, becomes the glass and the black ground with the solar panels, the area there becomes very hot. You can extract that heat, and you can pump it into the house, and you can heat your house with it. So that is the idea. So that would mean you need not a simple solar panel. That is not only to produce electricity, it also produces heat, and it also can produce water. So it has to be a more high-tech panel. And I already said, make them square, make a square roof. It's easiest to construct. So make it also bigger, make maybe a plate from 1 or 2 by 2 meters or something, and build those roofs with these panels. Connect these panels with each other so they generate water, they generate heat, and they generate electricity. Build that as a source of resource for your house. Make one panel with Starlink in it, maybe a kind of Wi-Fi system also in it, so you have internet connection with also with the roof included. You can maybe also put a little bit of computer in it, so you have a chat AI, the power wall if you have that. If the power wall can also then store the electricity in a smart grid, you can make a local smart grid so you can help other people that have these kinds of houses. And if you build a whole neighborhood, they can balance each other, they can help all each other out, depending on the cars they are charged. So you have a very high-tech neighborhood, and it is not only about solar, it is about you can generate heat and you generate water. Water can be a problem. Why? If you're in a desert and you pump water out of the ground, people will complain. If you can extract it out of the air, I think there is less, at the moment there is less law about that, so it is still possible. And I think yeah, humidity will go lower. That's maybe not good, but it will also not be so much water you will extract out of the air. And I think if you can extract enough water to just for drinking water, this will be great. I think the water you use to flush the toilet or for other things, use recycled water. That is much better. I wrote a book about it, recycling water. So you use the water and recycle it in the neighborhood. That is much better than every time pump up new water or use river water or water from rainwater. I would of course tell that you have to store the rainwater. That will be very interesting. And also gardening. Gardening, the most effective way to garden, to make fruits, is not playing them in the ground where the water goes siphoned down. Use aquaponics and hydroponics. That is much more efficient with water. It saves much more water, it saves more fertilizer, and you produce more, and it is easier to heat, and you can control the temperature easier for your vegetables, so that is also much better. So water is very important. I already wrote a book about it, about for colonization in space or on planets, how you have to treat water. So solar panels are important, and I think you have to cool them down, and with this way, with a heat pump behind it, would be maybe the big invention. Nobody, don't see anybody cooling down. They spray water on it, on the solar panels, but there's a waste of water, of course. But if you use a heat pump in combination with the solar panels, I think that's maybe a very interesting idea to use. There is a Japanese guy who invented a system for thermal that he could use. If it is 60 degrees or 70 degrees of water, he can boost the heat. It's a special invention he made, and he can make boiling water of it, and that water can be used to power a turbine and create electricity. So it can also mean that if you have like a very, very sunny day or in the desert, you can make a water system that is cooling down your solar panels, so you get more electricity. That water gets so hot that you can use it by this Japanese guy invention. That it will can power a turbine, and you get again from the heat that is spilled out, that you extract from the solar panels to generate more electricity. You generate more electricity because of this heat. So you have a double punch. So in the desert, so near the equator, hot places, you can easily create a lot of electricity very cheap. And then the limitation factor will be the battery. And then if you have more houses than like 100, you need to extract gases out of the air and create your own fuel. Because you will have very fast and a lot of energy, you don't know what to do with it, and I would say produce fuel with it. Methane or hydrogen, it is, people, maybe Elon Musk said it is a waste of energy, but if you have too much energy, you don't know what to do with it, use it for that. You can imagine then in the winter when you need extra power, you can use that as a fuel to power an engine, to put extra energy in the grid, in the smart grid. maybe hydrogen is too difficult. Maybe methane is easier for leakage, because hydrogen is the smallest atom, and you have to have a very good enclosure, and also explosive danger. But yeah, it's depending on what is the easiest ways to store and the easiest ways to produce. But you can imagine that also if you have like an oven, or if you want to make some metal work, you can use that fuel also for melting these heavy, to power these heavy machines, melting metal or doing other chemical processes. So this is my first idea about solar panels. Solar panels you have to build in combination with something else, more. The solar panel extracting using the sunlight only to generate electricity is a waste. You have to use the heat, because I tested here in Japan the solar panels, and what I found out in the winter, when there's a lot of sun and it's cold, I got a good amount of electricity. But when here we have a heat wave and it's 40 degrees or even 42 or 45 degrees, now these solar panels become like baking plates. You can even bake an egg on the top of it. So hot are they. And then you see that the power generation goes down very fast. So if you cool them with water, what I did, you see that the power goes up. So if you can extract that heat with the heat pump, you will lower down you increase the electricity, use that electricity to power that heat pump, and the spillover energy and the spillover things you have, you can use to generate extra energy, or what I said, you store that into the ground. So about these ground things, for if you have like you live in the north countries, like in Sweden, or really where there is a lot of cold days, more than half the year is cold, they found a trick. Also in the Netherlands they found a trick that they pump hot water in the earth. So you drill a hole 18 meters or 30, 40 meters in the ground. You find a water reservoir that's not drinkable, or okay, it is drinkable but not. And what you do is you suck up the water there and you pump in hot water there that you have spill over from your system. This water, if you heat it up under the ground, you will see that this temperature will raise during the year. During the summer you can push up this temperature in the ground. Then when it is winter, you pull it out and you replace it with cold water, because the heat pump will do that, and you will see that this water is maybe 18 degrees or much higher than the freezing cold outside, and that will boost this is your basic heat pump will use that to heat your house. So you're already, without using any power and using the power that is already in the ground, you can heat your house beyond higher than the freezing point and outside. And maybe it is all already doable with a thick coat. But then you use an extra amount of energy with solar to push the temperature a little bit higher, and it is a comfortable way to live. And this almost costs no energy. And that is the way you have to use the solar panels in the north. So you need this capacitor, this heat capacitor, from not used heat or an overshoot of heat to warm this in-ground heat source. And that's what farmers in the Netherlands do. They used all the sun power they put in the ground, and in the winter they pull it out and they heat the vinyl houses with that heat that they put in the summer in the ground. So you can use that heat that is pulled out of the ground to warm your house. So you have now this house that is constructed. It has internet. Your power wall has also the AI that is in the sunroof for the Starlink. So you have an all kind of system now that is an intelligent house. And I think also I use SwitchBot, like all your switches, all your electricity, all your light and all your stuff, make it remote controlled or controlled by a house computer, and that will also make the electricity bill much smaller, because it will only switch on the light and when it is needed, and switch on the heat at the rooms when it is needed. The evac systems, I think Elon Musk knows better about that because he has them in the car, so he can build them much better. We have a camping car with an air conditioner working on, I think, 48 volts or something, or 24 volts. It is easy to power, and I think if you have a good insulated house, then you can do that. Your house has to be really good insulated, and I think those 3D printed houses, if they are made from concrete or some kind of thick material, if the walls are thick, they are automatically insulated, and I think that is a very good way to build houses. Here in Japan, I told you there are some houses that are 3D printed, but they're 1 LDK. That means for one room, for small, very small houses for the moment. So yeah, I don't know where they are building in Japan, but I will do some research if I can. If they are built here in our neighborhood, I will definitely take a look at it. So that is the talk about the whole stuff with the houses. If you have a houses, you also have a neighborhood. Cars. I was thinking also, why not build under the houses a tunnel system? So put your car not outside of the door, but build it underground. Build an underground garage where you put your car. And the whole transportation system for the cars that goes to the highway, you build that underground. So if you look at the surface, you see houses, green parks, places where you can run, activities, school. You see no cars at all. You see people walking. You see maybe some places where you can where you can go from out of the ground. You can go up and you go down. And your transport system you build under the city. And you can imagine if you have like a bus system, you can build them under the ground and not on the surface of the ground. That will be maybe a very interesting way of making a city, that you build all the transport, all the facilities, electricity, everything you need, you build underground, and also your cars are underground, and if you want to travel to the city, you go to your garage, you go down with the elevator or something, you walk down, there's your car, and it drives automatically to a tunnel for the boring company, to a ramp up, to the highway, and there you go to the normal place where it is. So your whole city, your whole small community will be, if you look at from the surface, there will be no cars. You can walk, maybe use a bike, and it will be very car free and very how you call it, very natural, very easy place to be. You can relax. So if you build at Boca Chica or somewhere else with a boring company, you will have like this. You have in Japan Danshi. Danshi is like a company builds like these flats or these buildings, these high rises near their factory, so people can live there. So they can walk, take the bike to the company. So you can imagine that if Tesla builds a city near a small city of a few hundred houses or maybe more near their factories and near their the gigafactories, you can even remove all the cars and all the things. You can make it all the transport systems underground. That will be maybe a nice challenge for a boring company. So you can use the boring company for that and can experiment with the boring company if that is possible. You can also imagine that if you want to need food, that you can transport it all underground, or maybe you still need some surface roads for construction and for other things. But it would be a nice experiment that you have a house that your car is underground and you drive underground instead of on the surface. So if you would make this system, and you have also existing systems, they are looking now as FSD, and FSD is for autonomous driving. I think he made also a little bit of mistake. What he has forgotten is you have stoplights called in Japanese shingo. You have stoplights and other boards like speed boards or boards that give some information. And he is reading with cameras and other stuff this information, the lights, traffic lights and the speed boards. What if you can build stuff inside of those boards and in the in the lights, that it can communicate to the car. Can you imagine that if you drive in the city, you can order, if there's nobody there, where you drive into, it knows where you drive or what you want to, what is your route. It automatically switches all the stoplights on green, or it changes the speed so that you will have always green lights, or this much more effective if there are not so much traffic there. You can imagine that if the car knows or can influence, or it doesn't have to even influence, if it knows what is the light, how the lights are switching, in which timing there is, like there's always a timing of when it is switching red, yellow or green, or if there is some car parking there, that it is influence if there is a traffic or not. But if it can get this information, if it is nearby, it can adjust the speed. It doesn't know, oh, it doesn't have to drive so fast, or it has to speed up a little bit, that it can catch the green light easier. And also, if you have cameras there in the how you call it, in the traffic lights, it is also for can see the situations there. And also, if there's an accident, you can maybe use that for registration accidents and other felonies. And also, it can help with the situation if there is something happening, an accident, that it also knows that it has to avoid those points. So, it will be impossible for Tesla to build these traffic lights and these boards for speed and for other things. So that, I think, he has to buy. So, if Tesla wants to buy a company, why doesn't he buy? He's going to search who was making all the traffic lights in America or in the countries, and can they not buy those traffic lights companies up, and then add extra electronics, add extra stuff in them, so they can communicate with Tesla cars, or make an open some kind of open protocol that other cars, intelligent cars, also can use this. That would be a very nice, innovative. But I have to warn, these companies are sometimes powered by politics. These companies, these boards, these traffic boards are very expensive, crazy expensive sometimes. The price is not that it is so expensive to make, but there is something else behind it. And also, I think these companies are very, very controlled by maybe not the things you would think that a normal company is. They are very lined with politics and with state, etc. But that would be, if you could make intelligent traffic lights, and you can use that information in the cars or for routing, that would be a very big advantage. And if you have that as the start, and you can also make maybe some sensors in the road, so you will have an intelligent road and intelligent crossings and intelligent traffic information boards. And if you can build it all step by step, it will make the whole intelligent and automatic driving much easier, and also easier to accept, I think. So I think if he wants to really go for a system that can do autonomous driving, he has to start buying those companies and start to make add equipment in those things that are already there, to help with security and help with making the whole experience better, and also make it safer. So I hope also other company will do this, but I think here in Japan they're also thinking about self-driving to help. So maybe those traffic lights will be also added. They are already switched to LED. They were all days with these all the normal lights that take a lot of energy. Here in Japan they all switched to LED. So I hope they will add an extra something in it that is connected to internet, so that you can only see, read only, of course. You don't want to manipulate those lights, but you can see what is the stoplight and which color it is, and what is the timing, and what is the status of those lights. If it is available for everybody, you can cars can use it, and other serve. Maybe you can imagine if the police or the ambulance wants to use it, They can maybe manipulate it, but normally here in Japan or other countries, if they use the siren, everybody has to stop. So maybe but I still think don't influence those lights remotely, because if there is a hacker, you see sometimes in the movies that they make everything green and everything becomes every crossing becomes an accident place. So don't make the that you can change it remotely, but only that you can see the status. That is much better against hacking. And but if you can see the status online or somewhere, you can get this information for a specific place. Maybe make a paid place or some place where it is behind a crypto wall or secured environment, and that the car companies can get access to that if they pay a small amount. This will improve the automatic driving much better, and it will help also. And especially if you use adding cameras there, you see sometimes for traffic, sometimes some traffic points are prone to accidents, and police want to know why. They sometimes here in Japan then install some cameras to see what's going on. But if you have all those cameras don't have to be so expensive. Just place the camera there always, and they can see if there is something strange happening. And frequently there was an accident, maybe because of the low sun, of the placing of the light or something, that people cannot see if it is which color it is, because of the sun is going down and precisely behind the light. I've seen that here in Japan, and you cannot see which color it is, and those places can be dangerous. And so maybe they can find a trick that they just change a little bit the light or the height of the stoplight, that it is not influenced by the sun, and it is clearer to see for everybody, for car users and for pedestrians, and then it will be resulting in less accident at that crossing. So that's my talk. I want to keep it not about UFOs this time. Did I hear some Tesla news? Not really. It is fluctuating about 180, what I already said, 180, 240, 220. It's in range, and Powell talked, so something went down, and but I think yeah, the interest rate will go maybe to, American interest rate will go to 5, or a little bit higher, maybe 6. But I think for stocks, for Tesla, it will be not that bad. I think it will be stabilizing, it will be ranging. And I also heard some other people that are specialists, also Tesla channel, they also said it will be ranging. And what I already said, it will be a 3 or maybe 6 months that it will stay around this area. And then it will maybe jump up if conditions are better economy-wise, or we see a release of a new car or of a new product. So that's it, and have a nice day.